freedom at last. Robin, for those of you that don't know, I've been cooped up for the last 10 days for obvious reasons, and this is my first time out, and God, it feels good. Firstly, excuse the hair, I'm turning back into lockdown Harry, and no one wants to see that. Anyway, on to today's video. So if I said the phrase in body image stabilisation to you, you know what it is, right? Thanks to Sony and Canon's latest cameras. It's where the sensor of the camera essentially moves around to compensate for movement, to keep... Oh. The tide is still coming in, as you can tell. So the sensor of the camera moves around to compensate for the movement of the camera body itself, to keep everything nice and stable. For some reason, every time the camera gets reviewed, they talk about its benefits for video, which it is, because you get super stable video handheld. But it's not often that people talk about its photo benefits, because it does the same thing. The sensor's always stabilized. You can use slower shutter speeds and do handheld, not long exposures, but longer exposures than you could without a tripod. I've got my R5 and my 5D. I'm going to take the same photos-ish with both cameras and show you the shutter speeds, and so you can see the differences between having a stabilized sensor and not. I've also just fallen over and looked at right tit. Right, let's try the 5D. You can tell it's not a common thing seeing people making YouTube videos and filming themselves in this part of the country, because everyone needs to walk past. And there's quite a few people, because it's a nice sunny Sunday morning on the beach, and for fuck's sake, the death of me down here. They all just stop and stare, and you can see them talking to each other like, what's he doing? He's filming himself, what a weirdo. But you never know, if you're watching this, hello. This hasn't got any kind of stabilisation, no digital stabilisation, no lens stabilisation, nothing. It's just my pure, very shaky hands. So let's see how it gets on. That was the first time I've used the 5D to take photos for, well, for forever it feels like. And it was so weird using a traditional viewfinder, because it's amazing how much you rely on the R5's digital one for your exposure. And like most of those photos I took were completely blown out, because it looked, because you're seeing it as your eye's seeing it through the lens, so it looked exposed, and I wasn't looking at the exposure meter. It's just pure white. So it goes to show how quickly you adapt to all these new features, things like the IBIS, because I don't think twice about filming handheld when previously I would have used a gimbal, because I know it's going to be smooth enough. Same as I don't think twice about when I'm not going to get motion blur. I don't think twice now about dropping the shutter speed rather than increase my ISO to keep my image noise free, because I know, because of the stabilisation, I now know that it's safe to do that. I know there's people out there who don't like all of this interfering, but I don't think it's interfering. It just helps. It just helps us do what we love to do, and it gets better results, and it means we don't have to carry loads of equipment around. Like I can take a 0.3 of a second photo without a tripod. I'm still taking a 0.3 of a second photo. I just don't need to lug a bloody great tripod around with me and set it up and move it around and adjust it. So people must think I'm an absolute loser when I do stuff like that. So I'm going to set myself a little challenge. I'm going to see what's the slowest shutter speed that I can do handheld with the R5 without resting it on anything, without makeshifting a tripod, purely handheld, just up to my eye. Stick your guesses in the comments down below, and the one who gets the closest guess wins a firm handshake and a pat on the back from me. The wind has really picked up and it is fucking freezing now, but yeah, I've taken a few photos and stuff, seen how slow I can get the shutter speed, and it is just impressive if you compare it to something without IBIS. So it's another great benefit that maybe isn't spoken about as much as it should be. So thank you so much for watching. As always, hit that like button, subscribe if you aren't already, leave a comment, all that kind of good stuff that you already do, and I'll see you in the next one.